I have seen, there's a gentleman by the name of Steve Collett. Steve Collett's from Clay County. He's a friend of mine. He has been a meth cook, a drug addict most of his life from the time he was a very young boy. He was literally run out of his own household because he was such a dangerous and evil person.
Lord
but
Jesus.
God saved him in a portable toilet one night when it was so cold that he thought he was going to freeze to death. And because of that change that took place in his heart, he was delivered from the drugs. He now speaks to people all over the United States, all over the country. He has led more people to Christ, in my view, than most pastors. And so God can take the worst, and He can make it the best. He can take someone who is sick, and He can heal them. He can take someone who is lame, and He can make them walk. He can bring about the changes that we think could never happen. And I can tell you there is hope for people who are addicted to drugs.
Oh, I'm glad. And you know, a lot of people don't realize the consequences and effects of drugs. A lot of times somebody can look really healthy before they get on these drugs, and then they just go to skin and bones. They lose their teeth, or their eyes are sunk into their head, and you see these young girls and young boys in this shape all the time, and it's so heartbreaking to see somebody that had a bright future that's on these drugs and just throwing it all away. And what a lot of young people don't realize, that it only takes one time you can overdose and die on this stuff. These drugs are so terrible, especially meth, them ingredients that they put in there, and a lot of times it blows up in their face and burns them or you know, hurts the neighborhood.
Yes.
This is so devastating to her.
It is an absolute epidemic. I talked to a gentleman this morning that said that he knew of a person who took someone to the hospital who had had a meth lab blow up on them. And they said the skin was hanging off of his arms from the fire that had burned him so desperately. It was hurting him so bad that he had to literally hold the guy back. He was trying to jump out of the car because he said, I can't stand the pain. The pain of this is killing me. And the guy is still under the influence of this terrible drug.
Lord,
you would think, why would you do that? It's because you are addicted. It's because it is something that's too big for you to handle on your own. And addiction is a horrible problem. It is an illness. It is something that needs attention from everyone if we're going to change it. People can get through this. They can change. But we need God's help, and we need the public, we need the churches, we need everybody that has a mind to pray, to come together and pray about this issue while there's still time.
Exactly. And you can't take drugs to get somebody off drugs. You know, it takes a deliverance from a higher power. The highest power is God the Father and Jesus on His right-hand side. And brother, that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about the power of prayer, getting down humbling before an almighty God and say, God, we need your help.
Yes.
Because this is how serious this is. Because there's people killing each other, robbing people, just anything to try to get more of these pills or more meth. Just heard a story the other day about a London restaurant where they went in and robbed them. You know, crime has went up, drugs has went up, and things like that. We need to take our community back for God and Jesus.
I agree with that. And we have